Welcome to episode 466 of Salcedo Paranormal. And tonight I am doing another listener experiences episode. You can always find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them as we're doing tonight. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for these live streams on Discord or you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. As always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, as well as Liam Martin, host of the Exiled Minds podcast, for producing the show and putting it up on the station. If you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others, and also rate and review the show on your podcast platform of choice. Also, I've written some paranormal fiction and nonfiction books you can check out on Amazon. And I have a Patreon page where I'll be putting out more content hopefully every week, starting soon, but at least once a month. And then I have PayPal and Venmo links as well for if you would just like to make a one-time donation to the show, as there are always expenses, both in equipment and research materials, and then travel expenses. I will be attending the Mid-Michigan Paracon this year, November 4th and 5th, at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. That's a Saturday and a Sunday, where I'll be making recordings for the show, myself and anyone else who wants to be part of that, talking about the paranormal and or your experiences. And then I'll be bringing those back and playing them on the show. So I think that covers everything, and I always enjoy these kinds of shows, these listener experience shows, because I think this is the most important part of doing this, and I hope to do more and more in the future as we get more and more listeners. And so the guest tonight, I want to welcome Jacob. Hello. Thank you for joining me and going through all those hoops to get in here.
Figured out.
Yeah. So thank you for also agreeing to do this and share your experiences. And you can go in whatever order you'd like. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you want to share. So go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So talking to you from Atlanta, Georgia. From when I lived here in the mid '90s for a while. I used to live in the countryside, this town called Auburn, which is pretty close to some Civil War territories. I was probably like 12 years old. This story, I'm originally from Utah, but I was living here in Georgia temporarily. And we lived in this trailer, and it's a really backwoods, like country, rural area. So I just always remember, what I was into. I remember the night before, I was like really it was around the time, like I think a few years after The Crow came out, but I was watching that movie. I watched it before I went to sleep, and if you know, like a trailer has like a hallway, like a skinny hallway, and usually the rooms are in the hallway section, and I had one of those rooms that didn't really have a door on it. So I always remember this experience because I watched the Crow the night before, and the Crow with Brandon Lee, the original one, and then so I'm just I watch this movie, go to sleep, and I'm like sleeping on my stomach, and my bed is like pretty much right where the door is inside the room. There's no door, but it's just like an open space with where the hallway is. And so I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and I just see this, like, I don't know if it's like, I don't really believe in, not like a super religious person, but I just seen this angel like figure just hovering in my hallway where the open space of my door was, just hovering there looking at me. I didn't feel like any like fear or anything. It felt like, but it could also, I was thinking, is either it could be an angel or it could be like because he was wearing this white dress. I could see that. And this female seemed maybe like a teenager, maybe a little older, just hovering in my hallway looking at me, and just kind of was looking at it, and didn't really feel threatened by it. So it, and it only lasts maybe like 5 to 10 seconds. Then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to sleep, and that was it. But I don't know if it was something. Maybe it was someone from the Civil War, or if it was maybe it could be some angel. I don't know why they would be just looking at me. That's what probably my first, yes, paranormal experience, I would say.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
And it is always that I always do wonder about that, why people see things they're watching them, and it's really hard to know for sure any reason, especially when you're not getting anything else from whatever it is. You're not getting any thoughts, or they're not talking out loud, or like it's just really hard to know. And but I'm glad that it was just something that was there, and then basically, I'm guessing eventually left because you were able to just fall asleep. Um, but that, yeah, and that lady or girl in white, basically, that is, it's amazing how common that is. Just all over the place, in buildings and houses, but also outside, out in forests. It's really hard to know what that is, but yeah, that's yours. Yours is definitely not the first experience with something like that. And I wonder, that's a good point about possibly it being some kind of an angel. I wonder if maybe that's one of the forms that they take sometimes. It's, and again, I don't know, but that's I hadn't thought of that before, but that makes me wonder now. I wonder if that's the case in some situations.
Yeah, it was a really odd one, but yeah, I didn't really feel anything threatening by it, but definitely you feel some weird energy out here in the South, like, and now where I live at currently, which is just in like Atlanta, there's like a park you can go hike at, and it's a big like Civil War part where there's like a street, and on one side is the field where the other like the North Army was, and then the other side of the street is the southern side where they had a battalion straight up like lined up. That's only about 5 or 10 minutes away from where I live right now. So, and that's, a lot of people died in that war, and of course that's a long time ago. But maybe there's still something lingering around. I wouldn't doubt it. So
Yeah, definitely. It does seem like there's a lot of stories of experiences that people still have been having for decades and still have today. Every once in a while, I'll come across a story about something that happens in or near a battlefield. So yeah, I don't know what exactly is behind all that, but does seem to be a thing.
and I've had a few other experiences throughout my life. I'm about 40 now. Um, so that was that experience in my trailer, which took place probably around 95 or 96, I'd say. And then I basically had some issues with like Georgia. I just didn't really like it, and my family was like, "Hey, come back to Utah and stay with me if you want to." And I was like, "Yeah, just give me a ticket. I'm ready to get out of Georgia." So it's kind of a weird story, but I was back in Georgia from like '96 till just about a few months ago, and I'm back here for some family stuff here in Georgia. But I kind of like it. It's different out here. But anyways, going back to the Utah experiences, uh, I grew up there in this like downtown area, pretty close to Salt Lake City. And if you've ever seen the movie Salt Lake City Punk, you'll recognize some of the scenes where they filmed it there. There's this place called Memory Grove. It's one of the older. It's like a war memorial park. And oh man, this was only just a few years ago. I'll tell this story because it's kind of a fun one. But I always felt connected to this area, downtown Salt Lake City. Me and my friends used to skateboard downtown really quickly. But anyways, just to bring up this park, Memory Grove, had some strange experiences there. So this was around the times of COVID, I would say, so 2020. Maybe I think it was in the summer or fall, and I actually lived So I would just go to Memory Grove all the time because I grew up there. My uncle, when I was a kid, he would take me at nighttime. He always wanted to go check out all the bugs and insects at the park, and just he would just wanted to explore the park at nighttime because he was like a night shift person, would be off. He's like, oh, let's go to the park. It's across the street. So, but it just always felt like home to me. But anyways, fast forward, 20 something years later, during COVID, uh, I didn't have a car at the time, so I was getting groceries downtown in Salt Lake City, and I had to walk back home where I lived. And you could actually, on the way to my residence, which is actually near the capital area of Salt Lake City, you could walk through Memory Grove on the way, and there's like a trail that kind of goes up to the Capitol. It's kind of a shortcut. But I would go down there on my way. I didn't really like some of my roommates at the time, so I was just happy to be outside in a park where I grew up at. I felt comfortable. So I had my backpack with me, I think either my headphones or my Bluetooth speaker. I don't really remember. So I'm in this park, Memory Grove, and it's probably like 10 or 11 at night. I have a backpack. I have a couple drinks in there, and I'm sitting on this staircase. This staircase is at where the road is in the park, and if you go up these stairs, it has some zigzag trails. It's like maybe a half a mile up these trails, and that actually leads you right to where the Capitol building is. I used to walk up there, but then it has like these trails are like it's like lit up at night. It has like some trail lights and stuff. But I would just hang out down at the bottom where these stairs were, because you can see like the whole park, kind of what's going on at nighttime. And I was like, oh, I'll just enjoy my music. And I have this flat surface that's made out of brick. That's part of the staircase. And I'm just setting some drinks down, just enjoying my music, And I see this girl, pretty attractive girl, walking down the main street in Memory Grove. She's walking in front of me, like walking further into the park at night, which is, in my opinion, I mean, it's. I grew up there, so I feel okay, but it's also been a place where people have been attacked up there. It's not the most like safest park. I'm like, why would this girl be just walking through this park at nighttime? I said hi, whatever, and she didn't even. She like acknowledged me for a second, and just kept walking off. And then I was like, okay, didn't think much of it. Okay. Another special thing about this park is if you go farther up the park and then you go across the grass and cross this bridge, there's another set of stairs that actually leads up. They have someone made this into the stone. You can sit down in this area, but there's actually an actual pentagram that's carved into the rock at the top of this other staircase, and then there's a pentacle on the other side of it, or pentacle. So if you've ever been to that park, you'll know what I'm talking about. And so I would go up there too, just because. I don't know, it's just fun to walk around this park at night for me. I'm like, okay, if I see the girl walk kind of further down the trail into the darkness, which for me, like even growing up in that park, I would not go farther than that, because the trail at night, it's just pure darkness. You can't even see where it goes. So it's a little eerie. So, but anyways, I was like, okay, that's really weird that someone would just walk in there by herself. Like wait, whatever. I go back to the original staircase where I was at, and I'm just like, okay, I'm chilling. Listening to music, and I have a beverage just sitting flat on some stone. It's like not windy outside or anything, and all of a sudden it just tips over, and it just starts rolling down this dirt hill from tipped over to the side and just rolled over. And I was kind of shocked. Like, what the hell? It's my drink, And I pick it up. Okay. Didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, I'm just killing time. I don't really want to go home yet. And so I'm sitting there just into my music. And it does it again. It just flipped my drink over. Now I'm really pissed, and I just got this sense of something like watching me. I mean, my hairs on my back of my neck are just standing up. I'm just like, all right, whatever. I'm just packing my stuff up, and like I drank what was left of my drink. I was like, all right, I'm getting out of here, because like something weird is here. I don't know how to feel about this, and I just went home. But it was like, I would try to I can figure out an explanation for this. It's not windy outside. It's a very flat surface. I've only had like maybe a drink or two. I'm fine. I'm not like super intoxicated. So why is this happening? It's a very weird experience. But yeah, that was back maybe summer of 2020. It's a weird one.
Yeah, sounds like someone was trying to get your attention with that. I mean, knocking something over like that twice in a row, like that on a flat surface. That's hard to mistake that for much else.
But it's a very charged area. That park. It's
Right.
if you see the movie SLC Punk, it's like where the scene where they're dropping acid in the park, and they're like they're in the daytime and they're like talking about their experience. And if you've seen that movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, they filmed that in that location. But it's a cool area. Really good hiking trails. Really popular in the daytime. Everyone's walking their dogs and stuff. But at nighttime, it's a whole other different place. But I'm just experienced with it. So
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. No, there is something in places. Some places have that different feeling at night than they do in the day. I don't know how that works, but it's. I've told this before. I agreed to watch my dad and stepmom's house for them one week. This was years ago, and while they were gone, and the house was fine during the day, but at night it was like people that I could not see, but I could just sense, just started just coming into the house, and I had to have music or TV or something playing all night while I was there that week while I'm watching the house, because otherwise it just got to be too weird. The feeling just got too weird. Not bad, but just too strong, and it started to freak me out. So I had to always have something going at night. So I get what you mean there in a way.
it's not bad. Yeah, it sounds like if it's unnerving, it's a good way to distract or something like that. Or distract from whatever's going on. Maybe.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. And I wasn't as into all this as I am now. But if it happened now, I'd be sitting there with everything off and just seeing what else would happen. But this was a good 10, 12, maybe 20, maybe 15 years ago, almost 20 years ago. So
Okay.
I
Michigan.
wasn't as into this then at the time. So, but yeah, go ahead with whatever you want, wherever you want to go next.
Oh man. Um, those are some good ones of mine. I
Hmm.
have a few. I have a few other ones. I could give a little bit of backstory here. Uh, it kind of deals with the movie Halloween, which I'm a huge fan of. I'm a big horror movie freak, and I'm just cause my parents were like, oh, they were partying with their friends and playing poker and stuff when I was a young age, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna put on The Exorcist for you. It's fine. You can watch. I'm like 7 years old. I just thought it was okay, you know. And I was like really terrified of horror movies, but at the same time fascinated. But so that was where
Right.
Halloween comes in. I told this one of the times I talked to Michael Strange, where so I lived in this. This is close to where Memory Grove is, about 2 miles north into the Avenues area. I lived for a while, and about another like mile south of there, where they filmed Halloween 4 and 5 of the franchise in this neighborhood in the Avenues, really close to me. So this will lead into this story I'm going to tell you about. But anyways, I ended up having so my circle of friends. We were like a bunch of BMX kids in the Avenues, but we had a circle of friends. I had one of my friends lived like a block away from the Myers house, and so he comes up one of the times we're all hanging out together. He's like, Michael Myers is real because they're filming the movie nearby, and he got wind of that, and so he tells all of us other part of the crew, and he's like, we're just oh great, we're just like terrified. I knew what it was because my family like would put on horror movies and stuff, and so I ended up being terrified of Michael Myers for a long time as a child, and I was kind of afraid of the dark for a while. That the way that the shape of his mask would just light up the darkness, it was just very chilling to me. So I had a issue with the dark for a while. And I got over it. But anyways, getting into my 20s, I moved in with one of with my bass player, my death metal band at the time, and his girlfriend, and they lived in the same Avenues area, but like down towards the more closer to downtown, and by this coffee shop. And still, they would leave the house, and I had like a lingering like subconscious fear of Michael Myers. So, and I'm like in my early mid 20s at this point, and I'd just be in my apartment by myself in the daytime, just like checking my closets, just making sure Michael Myers is not in my
Mm,
house. So like that. So
yeah.
it wasn't, of course, but so this same place where I lived at the time, I was playing in some. It was I was playing guitar and singing in a death metal band at the time, but I was also playing drums in like another metal band. My friend lived up the street, and he was like a night owl like me. And it's one of the nights I didn't have to work, so he's like, "Oh," he hits me up at like midnight. Like, "Come over, we're partying over here." I go, "I'm okay." I'm like, "All right, cool." I got my bike, and so I go down the stairs, and it's probably like around midnight, like I was saying. And in the courtyard, I just have my bike locked up there, like by these bushes, locked up to a tree, and getting ready to go meet my friend and have some drinks with him, or my bandmate from the band I play drums in. And so I'm unlocking my bike from this tree, and wow, one of the darkest, most like chilling experiences I've ever felt in the avenues area was just came up from behind me, and it's like a nice summer fall night or whatever. And this is probably back early mid 2000s somewhere when I lived there, and I was just like, I got on my bike. I managed to get my key or my lock undone. Got on my bike and like just scrambled to get down this hill out of this courtyard, and it's just all grass. And I'm just going down this hill. I almost crashed my bike because I was so unnerved by this experience. And then you go down, and it's like there's a sidewalk, and then there's a street that goes east to west. And I almost biffed it going down this hill on my mountain bike just because I was so freaked out. And I got out of there, and it took me a minute to get my stuff together and actually be able to ride my bike. I got to the street, and I got to my friend's house, and I was telling him, and he was just like, "Oh man, that's crazy," you know. But and then I still lived there for a good 6 months after that. But man, that experience, I don't know what that was, but you could tell like night from day when you're feeling fine, you know, you're just on your way to your friend's house, and all of a sudden you're not. Something just takes your world and just almost turns it upside down, like energetically.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much unnerved me. So yeah, that was a crazy experience I had, and this is the Avenues area of Salt Lake City, but probably the
Yeah.
weirdest moment I've had, I'd say for sure. But that was a crazy one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really. I don't think it's not something that you hear about a ton, like in popular culture. But the paranormal doesn't always just show up as a full blown apparition. Sometimes it's just a feeling, and it's just like energy, like you said. It's definitely a thing, and I think that's why it gets written off in some cases by some people that are just don't think or don't want to think that any of this can be real. But anyone that's had an experience like that or similar can say there's something going on there.
I think that kind of reminds me of that situation, and at the time, it just reminds me of something. I don't know if you know who Dario Argento is. He's like another horror movie director from Italy. Um, put out this. He used to do this stuff with effects. It was like in the cinematography, he'd have just like this really chilling wind effect, and he'd have like this music, just really like pulsating music that had this effect for this movie called Suspiria, which is one of the more popular movies. And he would have like this stalker out in the distance in this like field, and this like girl is like, she gets this sense that something's watching her, and it's just like the whole build up to this scene. It almost felt like something like that, like something was watching you, and you know, someone was doing that. So just sounds like that. It almost felt like something like that out of a Dario Argento movie, which is ironic because I was also hugely into like Italian horror films at the time in my early 20s. But it definitely it's on parallel with an experience from Suspiria. If you know some of the opening scenes in that movie, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I don't know if you're a big horror movie freak like me, but yeah,
Yeah, not so much, but I mean, I've heard of a lot of them. My ears have always been really sensitive, so like I can't do movies that have jump scares or loud sudden noises so well.
gotcha. That
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, but I mean, I've read a lot of Stephen King books and Dean Koontz books, some of those, and
Great.
so I'm into sort of the genre of horror in a way, but I can't do the movies. But yeah,
Huh,
I've heard of. I think I've heard of every movie that you've mentioned so far tonight, so I'm aware of it all. I just don't watch it.
that's cool. Yeah, it's a whole other world of like just being obsessed with that stuff. You know, I was gonna one time I was convinced I was gonna move to Italy and try to marry a girl named Sarah, all because of Dario Argento movies. Like his main protagonist was like some girl named Sarah. I was like, "Man, this seems like a great place to move," but I never. But yeah, just a weird side story there. But,
Yeah, no, that's it does seem like movies and fiction and entertainment, they seem to connect with things that happen in real life. So in different ways.
Been a huge influence on me. I don't know if that has any. I mean, yes, I wrote a lot of music inspired by dreams I've had. A lot of dark, haunting, brutal ones. That's very horror stuff. Just I didn't know what else to channel it. I used to journal my dreams a lot. I still do. I'm sure some sort of horror movie obsession creeps in with that, but I've read a lot of horror fiction and Stephen King. Like, yeah, like I remember you were talking about the Dark Tower series, like in one of the shows, and that was perfect you mentioned that because that's like one of my all-time favorite series. It's so good. So
Yeah, I did a review, a series of review shows on those books, and that was really hard to summarize. There are
oh
some
yeah,
books that are pretty easy to just kind of give a brief summary, 20-minute summary, but that
yeah,
series, oh my gosh, that was difficult to do. But I thought it was
yeah.
important because it does touch on so many things, and with the paranormal and with all the aspects of that with the spirits and with just all the different possibilities of other dimensions and um, multiverse and all those things. So yeah.
I'm revisiting it with audiobook. I might do that sometimes. But do you have a favorite book from the series, or?
Oh, that's difficult. I would say closer to them. I would almost say Wolves of the Kala
Hmm.
because that's sort of when the group of characters is even though stuff is going on, they're fully formed and they're all kind of okay with what they're doing. They're established, and it's just really amazing book. But yeah, I mean, what's really odd about that series, and then I'll get off of this, but I like all the odd number books more than the even number books. Like the Gunslinger, the Wastelands, Wolves of the Kala, and then the last book, which is called the Dark Tower. I like those overall more than the other books. So I don't know if that's just the nature of trying to tell such a massive story. If you're going to have, if some of those books are entire like low points in the series. But yeah, that's something I've noticed.
There's this weird parallels with Wolves and the Cala if to this other film series that came out on Netflix not too long ago, the Midnight Mass. I don't know if you've heard about that one, but
I've
it,
heard
it's
of
like
it. Yeah.
it's like it reminds me a lot of Wolves of the Cala, and then mixed with something from the Salem's Lot. Like it's like the guy definitely was like making a homage to like Stephen King in a way, but there's you got the stereotypical like preacher showing up, and which reminded me of that. But no, it's a great series. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's really funny that you say that. This happened a little while back now. When it came out, I did a whole a couple, two or three shows with on Troubled Minds Radio with Mike and Derek, the Night Stalker, as well as in one part, I think Rohan was in there too.
Nice.
We did a review of that whole Midnight Mass TV series,
All right, I got to check that
and
one out.
yeah, and I sort of was the one out of the group that didn't watch it, and so it was really fun because everyone was trying to describe it to me as we were going through this review, the series of review shows, and so it was really a lot of fun. It's I don't know how far back it is, but it's a little ways back now. So
I
yeah,
know. Yeah, 'cause I enjoyed the series. I mean, I thought it was kind of weird towards the end, but I'm very like I don't know, some bias, I guess. I didn't do it well, of course, but whatever. Not my artistic vision. So, what is my
right,
opinion anyway? So,
right, yeah. Well, you're welcome to share anything else you want to, or we can end it here, whatever works for you.
I think that's good. I have a few more stories. Maybe I'll tell like another time. But yeah, that's a few of my ones that have been connected with myself. I've definitely had some unnerving moments in my life. I'm not sure what to take of it, but whatever. Still here.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing and coming on here, and happy to have you back on some other time to share more of your experiences and go from there.
All right, man. Good talking with you.
You as well. Thank you, and have a great night.
All
You
right, you
can
too,
mute
man.
up.
Cheers.
or leave, or however you want to do that. That's either way, it's fine.
Okay, I'll drop off. Thanks.
No problem.
Bye.
So, thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.